Decorating Pages is a podcast dedicated to taking you behind the scenes of the designs of your favorite TV shows and films. Each episode, I'll be sharing design stories from some of Hollywood's most famous sets, interviews from set decorators, production designers, directors, and actors about creating the look of TV and film, about their design inspirations, and stories that take sets from page to screen. Hello, and welcome to Decorating Pages. I'm your host, Kim Oneop. I'm still testing negative, people, so it's got to be safe out there because with all of the shopping and meetings and being around tons of people, keeping the mask on is keeping me safe. So I think that's my message. With all that's going on in the world, keep your mask on, keep it safe. Kind of like when they used to tell you, like, wrap it up with a condom. Just keep your mask on. That's it. I think that's our best bet here. It's good. Work is good. We're still prepping. We're about to shoot. It's that train that's starting to come at you. Like, I'm starting to wake up in the middle of the night with drapery concerns. I'm having dreams about Ryan Murphy, which is super weird, but we're good in it. Like, we're friends, so I'm feeling good about that. That's super weird. It's all of these anxieties you have in this position. I don't know. I know that other people still feel like first day of school jitters, like when you're shooting and stuff like that. So I know I'm not the only one feeling this way, right? Now, so things are good. And I would still say, number one tip to anyone, shipping sucks. You have no idea how many things are delayed. And a daily email of, oh, you thought you were getting this today? Just kidding. Even Amazon, Lamps Plus, Home Depot, you're the worst. You're the worst, Home Depot. You got everything. Getting appliances is ridiculous in itself, and especially period appliances. And the shipping is just killing us. But that's what you got to deal with. So it's going well. I hope your projects are going well and you're dealing with all of this COVID and testing. We're still being tested once a week. I don't know if we'll get tested more once we start shooting. No one has told me that. I think the only people getting tested more is probably makeup, hair, maybe props. I don't know. I'm so far in my bubble right now of set dressing. I haven't really talked to anyone else. But yeah. So I did not finish. So yeah. So what's Oneop watching? Well, in the last 2 weeks that I've been off, I didn't finish Away, which is that sci-fi Hilary Swank show on Netflix. I get it. She's away. I did watch Enola Holmes on Netflix. Beautiful set, so whimsical, and it stars Eleven from Stranger Things, and she's pretty good in it. And it's like Sherlock Holmes' little sister. It's cute, and it's just a fun little movie to make you forget about what is going on in this world. So that's always nice. Thank you, Netflix, for releasing the 6th season of Schitt's Creek, because I had cut the cord and gotten rid of my cable, I think February-ish, and that was when that last season was on, and so I was missing the last 6 episodes. So I did that like last night. Finished 6 episodes of Schitt's Creek. It's so cute. I never felt like the sets were super great, but I feel like it was really low budget. But then they did that apothecary. I can't say it. Apothecary. I don't know. Anthropology shop. And that was so cute. So I don't know. I don't watch Schitt's Creek for the design of it, I must say. But I do enjoy it, and I'm glad that they got the acknowledgments that they did. I think it's more of a lifetime acknowledgments for some of the winners, but it was a good show. I'm glad they won. I started the fourth season of Fargo, which is set in the early 1900s in it's Kansas City, obviously. It's Kansas City, but they shot in Chicago, I believe. So Chicago for Kansas City. Beautiful sets. Always, I just love the show. It's so rich with period, great design in every season. I think season 1 and 2 were fantastic. Season 3 is probably their weakest to me, but still a great show. If you like a little mystery and good writing, Fargo's, I think Fargo's really good. Here and there, I've been rewatching The Office. I'm just trying to get some laughs in at night. I think I just throw it on as some, just to zone out. It's not, my housewives really haven't been on, but so rewatching The Office. And then tonight, to zone out after the babies went to sleep before I started this, I found a show that's brand new on Netflix called Song Exploder, How Music Gets Made. There's only 4 episodes. I only watched the one about the song Losing My Religion by REM. And the other episodes include Lin-Manuel Miranda, the song, which one? It's Wait For It. It's from Hamilton. And then Alicia Keys has an episode, and then a rapper who I don't know does an episode too. But I only watched Losing My Religion, and I don't know if I've ever expressed this on this podcast, but if I could be anything in the world, if I could have had any occupation, I would want to have been a singer. I think it's just the most miraculous thing. Your tool is on you at all times, and you can invoke emotion with your voice. I just think it's a phenomenal thing. And Losing My Religion to me is a song that if I hear it, I could cry. Like, that like actors can like get in the mood by like listening to a soundtrack. I got probably 4 or 5 songs that if I just listened to, I could cry. Purple Rain, that's always a good one. Round Here from Counting Crows gets me every time. And Losing My Religion is kind of on the cusp of that, where if I really think about it, I could lose it. And I lost it when they single out just Michael Stipe's voice singing the song and all the other instruments are away. It's so beautiful. So if you're a music lover, there's not really any sets in this, but just letting you know, really great. I'm tempted tonight to finish the other 3 episodes when I'm done recording this, because it's good. You hear how they wrote the song and the instruments involved and how they came up with the melodies, and REM has been broken up forever, and just seeing, unfortunately, how we're all getting older and Michael Stipe old is just sad. But I was so glad to see that band back together. So that's just a little something for that if you're a music lover. On this episode, I speak with Jeff Rosenberg, director, AD, producer, writer. He's wearing a lot of hats here. I met Jeff on season 5 of VEEP, and as everyone calls him, Rosie. So Rosie is definitely the type of person you meet and you feel comfortable with right away. He's just a super nice guy. He is always in a good mood. I don't know how he does it. He stays positive in all of the darkness, and even in the most dire situations, this guy is just like, go team awesome. So, which is annoying sometimes, but I think it's a super strength that I don't possess in this in this little world. As a decorator, I rely on ADs to keep me in the loop of schedule changes, especially things that are last minute. And he's always fair in sharing information, and that is essential, I think, to a good AD, just keeping everyone in the loop and making sure the wheel keeps turning. I spoke to Jeff when he was getting funding last year for his new film, We Broke Up, which he wrote, produced, and directed. And I really wanted to have him on this podcast because it's so interesting to me to hear how someone can wear all of these hats and have the passion to get a project completed. It's such a Hollywood dream. I would say, to be like, oh, I wrote this film and now I'm directing it and I'm acting in it, or, it's really hard to take a lot of people seriously when they say that, because it's so hard to get something made. But Jeff is doing it. This is like second or third project. I mean, he's like doing it. It's incredible. I mean, it's amazing that he's been able to do this and work at the same time. I mean, it's not like he's working on, Hallmark movies anymore. He's doing VEEP. He's doing The Good Place. He's working it 12 hours a day, even more, and still able to put together a film. I thought it was just amazing, and I really wanted to hear his process and share it with you. It took him years to get it together, as he will tell you, but in that time he worked on The League, he worked on VEEP, The Good Place, he did films like Wine Country. He has an ADG award for VEEP and wins and nominations for writing, producing, and directing his original film, OJ the Musical, which is now on Amazon Prime, which I told you 2 weeks ago to watch it. That was your homework. He won the Audience Award at the Friars Club Comedy Film Festival for that film that he wrote and produced and directed. We talk about how we both started in Hallmark TV movies, and he moved up pretty much like week 1. So get a little jealous on that one. It's really unbelievable, his story of getting in. So he's a gem, and I'm glad to have worked with him. And I'm super glad that he was able to do this podcast. So I hope you enjoy.
Honestly, that's like my biggest thing of all of this, because like when I finished Sunnyside at the end of October, like I worked a lot last year to get myself prepared to be able to direct my movie.
Right.
And so my movie was DGA, but it's DGA low budget, so that was not enough to cover my health insurance. And obviously I'm just doing whatever I can to get the movie made, and all along I was going to do a pilot in April. And so that was going to I was going to do some AD work, and that would just financially make me fine. And then the pandemic hits, and so I have essentially not worked since last October.
Isn't that crazy?
So now
But you have.
I've made a feature film.
Yeah,
I've worked a lot.
You worked.
But in terms of like the DGA, because for directing it's negotiable, like when we're like in the process with the DGA of setting things up, like it's my own production company that is the DGA signatory.
Right.
So the DGA can't be like, hey, you're not paying the director enough. I'm
right.
Like, I am the director and I need that money to go toward our prop budget.
Right.
So this director's literally going to get paid in like Dave and Buster's gift certificates. I don't care. Points. I just need to make the best movie I can.
You got to take points at the end. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole thing. Got to get that back end. That'll be the most exciting moment of my life. Probably. I keep thinking about getting residual check for my own movie.
That is exciting.
I was like, that's going to be pretty cool. When that
exciting.
Eventually happens.
I have a actor who lives upstairs, and he moved, and I was getting his mail for him and sending it to him, and it's like 2-3 checks a day the guy gets, and he wasn't in a lot, but I mean, I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
They're probably for like 10 cents or something, but.
One of the lead actors for my movie, this was not how we ended up casting her, but she was in a pilot I did. For the pilot for Mixology for ABC. I get a check every 3 months for that pilot. It's never more than 5 cents.
Oh my God.
So I get this check that's like, so now I've got in the habit of, I just picture message her my like 4 cent check for Mixology. It's
not even
pilot.
worth the stamp. It's a sin. Anything under a stamp they shouldn't set, or like wait till it gets above or $1.
I one time got a stack of checks for VEEP, and I know this is kind of contentious, and now of course I'm doing it talking to you. I feel bad talking about residuals because other people's, they go to their union as opposed to directly to the employee. But I one time got 10 checks for VEEP that were a total of 0 cents. I got 10 0-cent checks in this big manila envelope.
Why? What was it?
They got zeroed out when they took the taxes from. So it was literally like 10. So
sounds like you got VEEP'd on that.
Yeah, I got super VEEP'd. So literally all you get when you get one of those, it just says like advise slip only is what it says on the document. Because obviously you can't cash it.
So sad.
Yeah, so you just get 0 cent. Because like as a second AD, you're, however this magical residual structure works, the second AD is like the percentage of the percentage of the percentage that the people above.
But at least you get like something. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's such a great deal, or it's such, someone's logic way back when was really smart to come up with like the residual of it all.
Yeah, I mean the fact that like I share a union for negotiations with like Steven Spielberg, like Steven Soderbergh's in charge of our negotiating committee, and like Jon Favreau is like our third in command.
I thought he was going to cure COVID or something for us. What happened with that?
Sean Penn is actively curing COVID.
Yeah,
Sean Penn was in our DGA Zoom a few weeks ago talking about how he's going to tackle COVID. Dude. So I'm just like I'm sitting in a Zoom meeting like this. I'm just like in a Zoom meeting, and the window is Sean Penn.
I heard him on Stern like 2 months ago and talking about it, and I'm like, is this the Sean Penn like going after fucking COVID?
It was wild, because I think the coolest thing of that moment, where, you know, like a Team America or something like that makes fun of Sean Penn. So after the talk, one of the ADs came on and he was like, I just want to tell a story. This was an AD who was Haitian, and he said that when all the disasters were happening in Haiti, he got a call from his sister that was like, hey, I don't know if you're connected to Sean Penn at all, but I want you to know that Sean Penn is straight up in the streets right now with his sleeves rolled up, like clearing rubble. And like Sean Penn was sort of saying, he's like, I'm not as much a leader as I am like a soldier. And he's like, I'm a lot of times like, so it seems like he is like full blown.
He's the guy
in it.
Yeah.
Like doing the work. So I have nothing but respect for that guy after hearing him talk.
I do too. I recently watched a movie he was in, and I was like, you should just stick to Haiti. I think your acting days are over.
Just save disasters.
Oh, it's like, it's too much. I forget the name of it, but he plays like he goes mental, and he went like full mental, like he went like I Am Sam. It's like, too much.
Yeah. It's the scene from Tropic Thunder.
Yes.
Like, that's the mistake.
Yeah, full. I just rewatched that. Full something.
That movie's great. I'm not going to say what it is.
Well, no, yeah, full. Yeah, I know that, but it was like, you never go full Jack, or what? It was Jack.
Yeah.
It was Jack.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking for. Jack. I know the word. Yeah. I was looking for the Tropic Thunder thing.
Yeah.
You know what I forgot about? I forgot that you and I started on Hallmark.
Oh, yeah.
I totally forgot about
Hallmark.
That.
That was...
How did you start? How did you get into Hallmark?
Mine is
How did you break into Hallmark movies?
My whole, like, my origin story in this industry is wackadoodle. So I moved to LA on January 3rd. I had just made a movie in Ohio. So I was like, I'll go finish my movie. I'll do like post in LA. Most of my friends from college have moved out here. So I move out on July 3rd. I have like a deflated air mattress behind a curtain in a shared apartment in Hollywood with my friends. And on July 4th, we go to a beach in Santa Monica. I'm talking to like a friend of a friend there. and he's telling me that he's the second AD on a bird flu miniseries with Tiffany Thiessen, Faye Dunaway, French Stewart, Eric
Faye
Roberts.
Dunaway.
Yeah, and
get me on that now.
It sounds so amazing. I'm having a blast just talking to him about all these crazy stories working on these Hallmark movies. And so that day I apply for a job at Ralph's. I'm like, I'm a filmmaker. I'll just get any job. Doesn't matter. And then I send out an email to like my friends like, hey, I'm looking if anyone hears of any work. So that like next day, that guy, his name is John Miller. Hi, John Miller. He calls me and he's like, we just added a staff PA for that bird flu movie, Pandemic, if you want to work on it starting tomorrow for 48 days. So I'm like,
fuck you,
okay,
dude.
I guess I'll do this. So I end up, I get a voicemail that's like, hey, you need to be here at 5 a.m. You can start unloading I thought they said snake bed. I'm there with 5 friends listening to this voicemail over and over again as we're like Googling what is a snake bed. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing the next morning. I later, of course, learned it's a steak bed and what it does. I get there. The first AD, basically, within 3 hours, I guess he didn't like the PA staff. He was like, okay, you're the key set PA now and never leave my side. I'm just like, what is going on right now?
Welcome to Hollywood.
Yeah. The prop guy, I don't know if you know George Hobbs. He's been around forever. He's this guy from Florida. The first few days, they're like trying to call me on walkie. They're cutting off the name Jeff. He's like, you're not answering your walkie. I'm going to start calling you Rosie. So next thing I know, my name is Rosie. I'm working at the Hallmark Channel. And within like a few movies, because at the time...
Let me just get this straight. Within like a week of moving here, you had a job, you got promoted, and you got a nickname?
Wait, it gets even more ridiculous. Any AD listening is gonna want to punch me in the face as I keep going. So at the time, Larry Levinson Productions has like 7 crews.
Yeah.
So they're just like churning out these movies for Hallmark and Lifetime. And what they're also doing is they're like regularly grandfathering their PAs into the DGA. So it's either like people do like 600 days as PAs to become ADs.
Why were they doing that?
Area. Because they needed ADs because they were doing so many shows.
Oh.
So instead of bringing in other people, because they're low enough budget, they can either have third area people, but they can also just like signatory their PAs into the DGA.
I see.
So next thing I know, I have no plans to be an assistant director. I'm grandfathered into the DGA. So now I'm like in the DGA as an AD. And I'm like, at the time, the first AD was this guy, Vern Davidson, who's awesome, who's now the UPM on like Goldberg's and other shows. I'm telling him, I'm like, I don't really want to be an AD. And he's like, who cares? Just sign the paperwork.
Exactly.
Get in the Directors Guild, figure it out later.
Exactly.
So now I just spend like 2 years doing like Lifetime and Hallmark movies just constantly. I do either a 48-day or 24-day shoot. Then I take like 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
Then I'm back in prep on the next movie.
It was just a machine. Nonstop. I mean, they had like you were saying like 7 teams or like how many teams, and these teams would just do a movie, take a couple weeks off, do another movie, take a couple weeks off, and it was just this like. And his company owned a post house. They owned a prop house. They owned
They owned a stage.
Yeah.
They owned accounting.
That stage was bullshit.
They owned everything.
They owned everything. So it was Peter Pan. That stage was a warehouse in Simi Valley, and the train would go by, and you'd have to stop.
Yep. Cooner.
Cooner.
Off at Cooner exit.
Get off at Cooner. I was there a lot at by 5:30 a.m. I'd be the only one.
Yeah.
It was really just money changing money. It was washing. You were just constantly washing money.
It was bonkers. And so then what ends up happening is like you need 400 signatory days as an AD to then just be able to work on any shows. Until then, you're like a signatory of Larry Levinson Productions. That's all you can work on. The producers I was working for go and form their own company and make a low budget IA deal where suddenly our entire crew basically
can get in.
The other departments, because Larry Levinson didn't have a deal with IA. They were like famously picketed for this.
Right.
When that was all happening, the crew I worked formed with another company, made a deal with IA. I was DGA. So now I'm a signatory of that company, but we all lose our health insurance. They change the locks at the Cooner stages. I'm suddenly like, wait, now what do I do? Because this whole like revolving door of nonstop shows has stopped.
You're out. You got locked out.
Yeah. So now I'm like, okay, I didn't want to be an AD, but now I'm sort of on this path. Maybe I reapply to Ralph's. I don't know if they still have my application in the system. I don't know.
Your Ralph's Club card is your form of identification.
I have a card, yeah. So now I'm in a situation where I'm like, I need to figure out what I'm going to do. But then they do a couple projects. One of them was with Jordan Steinberg, which is where I met Jordan.
Oh, nice.
I did a William
dresser.
And Kate.
Yeah.
A miniseries. Yeah. I did a miniseries with Jordan where I met him, which we laugh about sometimes. But then what ends up happening is this company ends up being the pilot for The League on FX.
Nice.
So I end up now, I'm like, they call me and they're like, okay, we're actually doing this show for FX that you're able to do as a signatory that's created by like the team from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Right.
And stars like Mark Duplass, Nick Kroll, Paul Scheer, all these people.
But that was like, kind of before they were that name.
Yes. So nobody else, other people didn't know who they were.
Right.
I'm like, I'm an indie filmmaker. So I'm like, I'm very aware of The Puffy Chair. I'm very aware of Human Giant and Nick Kroll. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to work with, Jeff Schaefer, one of the main creators from Curb Your Enthusiasm. The first AD is Dale Stern, who was also a producer on Borat and Bruno. I'm just like, what is happening now? And then
big time.
Next thing I know, that show goes to series. So now I'm allowed to work on that show. They replace most of the crew, but they keep me on it from the pilot. So now like a PA like Mike T was our key set PA, who from like VEEP and stuff. Right. Mike had more set days than me and was our set PA. And I was the key second AD on this cable television show. And I was just like, I don't know what's going on. I still just want to be I just want to direct movies.
But
I guess I'll just ride this as well.
At some point, didn't someone say to you, like, you could take this path? Like, you could get in it. You're in a DGA. Like, obviously you're on the right path. But,
yeah.
I mean, someone, maybe Dale, maybe someone, gave you like, hey, no, this is how it is. I mean, at some point, picking up clues here and there, you figure it out too.
Yes. Yeah. I think the ability to be on set.
Yes.
And as it continued, and the ability to like, just generally by the people I've been lucky enough to be surrounded with, this has afforded me the ability to watch how Mike Schur runs a show, to watch how David Mandel runs a show, to be able to work with people who are, mentors and heroes of mine, and being able to like through osmosis get that.
Yeah.
That's been fantastic.
That's the education.
Yeah, that's been my Malcolm Gladwell, like thousand hours. It's just been with, it's been like, I'm in a pass van with Mark Duplass on season 2 of The League, and I'm telling him how I'm like supposed to have money to make this movie that I'm still hoping to make that I haven't made yet. And Mark's just like looks me in the eye and is like, just make something. He's like, it doesn't matter. Just make something. And so that summer, like the day we wrapped season 2 of The League. It's
kind of a dick thing to say. I thought you said he was going to turn to you and say like, hey man, I got 10 grand. I'll help you out. Just make something.
No.
Anyone, I mean, that's a light kick in the balls he gave you. It wasn't like...
No, I support what he said. You can watch his, like...
all right. I would have laughed in his face and said, hey, give me some money.
No.
Help me out.
He did... I will say he did donate to my Kickstarter.
Okay.
So he did...
Okay, there you go.
It was like he had a South by Southwest keynote speech at this point. I'm not sure what year it was. You could look it up. His whole thing was basically it was like the cavalry is not coming. That was his big thing.
Oh.
If you sit around waiting for someone to fund or finance your projects or produce it, it will never happen. You need to go make a movie. That's what he did with Puffy Chair. And so that was the mindset. So it wasn't him being a dick. It was him being like, if you want to make a movie, just make a movie. And then you'll learn something and you'll make another one. So between season 2 and season 3 of The League, I shot a feature with my tax refund. And like, I raised 17 grand on Kickstarter. I used my tax refund. I made a movie. We ended up playing.
What is this? The OJ movie?
Company. It's the OJ. So it's a theater company putting up an Othello-based OJ Simpson musical.
So now you gotta slow down when you say all that, because I was like, I need to see this. I mean, I've been on OJ's ass for a long time. I'm big on OJ.
I will send you a link. It used to be on Hulu. For a short period, we were under the you might also like for People vs. OJ Simpson. So I was getting like wildly large like checks every day.
That's
like,
awesome.
Thousands of people were discovering the movie. So like we did pretty well. So like we premiered at Michael Moore's Film Festival. We were
That's
like
amazing.
a must-watch. We were like a must-watch in the Washington Post. Like we did a lot of stuff. I think we're, knock on wood, I'm figuring it out, like licensing-wise. I think we're going to be on Amazon Prime. By the time this airs, it'll hopefully be available on Amazon Prime.
Oh my God, that's amazing. I'll link to it.
So, yeah, so I made that with, thank you. So, I made that with like favors and friends. The whole movie was cast with like people I'd worked with who were able to do it. And so that sort of opened doors for me. But at the whole time, I'm simultaneously, my wife is like, you just spent all of our checking account on this OJ Simpson movie.
Believe in me, baby. Believe in me.
So you need to take whatever AD job comes next. I don't care what it is. You have to say yes. So I agreed. Same day, I get a phone call asking me to go work on a movie with Lindsay Lohan as Elizabeth Taylor.
Yeah, Liz and Dick. So, I saw
Liz
that.
Liz and Dick. Hell yeah. So those are the journeys you go on. And so that opened some doors, though. A script I had written with a friend of mine, which is We Broke Up. It's producer Mason Novick. So this is the day my son is born. I'm at the hospital. My wife is lying there, we're post-birth. She's out of it. I'm holding this newborn baby, and I get an email that's like, hey, my name's Mason Novick. I produced 500 Days of Summer. I think your movie could be the next 500 days. How can I get involved? And I'm like,
somebody hold this baby. I need 2 hands to type.
I was like, I'm literally like, do I set this baby back in?
Yeah.
I don't know what this is coming out of this baby's butt, but it doesn't look like poop. You can't move. What is happening right now? And before I can even evaluate or respond, my phone rings. I pick it up. It's like, hey, this is Mason. Not sure if you saw my email. And
Jesus, hungry?
I'm like, hey, man, I just had a baby. My wife just had a baby. He's like, oh, that's cool. I have 2 kids, so I'm thinking we shoot in Vancouver. And I'm just like, what is happening? So, all this is going on. There's like, at first I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting a movie made. I'm like telling Morgan and David, like before the first season of The Good Place, like, hey, at any moment, if this movie is like greenlit, I'm gone. So, the whole time I'm doing this, I remember back in my Larry Levinson days, there was a stand-in, I'll never forget this, who gave a script to Tiffany Thiessen and was like pitching her about his movie. I made this like deck. If I'm hired as an AD, that's what I'm there to do. Like, I will when I'm making my own projects, obviously I'll utilize relationships and things like that. But generally speaking, I'm not going to be constantly talking about my own projects. I'm there to work on whatever job I'm for. So I wouldn't talk about this stuff that much. I'm just there ADing. But a lot of times I'm like having phone calls with like potential financiers and doing all this stuff. So
well, yeah, because you gotta take care of you.
Yes.
As much as loyalty and everything is huge in this business and everything, you got to take care of you. It's not even like a question. I mean, I'm sure that's like in a lot in every business, but look how many times you don't sync up with the people anymore, and then who's calling you, or people you want to hire, like, oh, they took another job. Well, they got to eat, like, you know.
Yes, exactly.
You got to take care of yourself. So yeah, take those phone calls. Take those phone calls during the day.
So this was all. So I guess I was trying to put this movie together. There was all these things. You know, I'd be sneaking away from like Good Place. I would like, you know, tell like Steve or Kenny like I'm gonna be off campus for 2 hours, like meeting at Jones on 3rd with like insert famous actor that we're trying to attach to this movie, and like, you know, I'd get a call from our set decorator who is like, what is happening? Why did the schedule change? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Sorry, I didn't text you.
Listen,
but
those were important calls. I need to know. Well, so
it was.
How long was let me ask you this though, because you're telling this and it seems like, but you worked at it. Like, you wrote this, you found the financing, it takes time to cast, it takes time to, like, you know, then you're scouting or you're doing whatever and you're putting it together. It obviously is a passion at that point because you're in it. You're like, this is a baby. You've had another baby, really.
I have 3 children. I have like 4. I have like 5 children.
Yeah. Well, Emmy's my firstborn. I don't know.
Baller.
Yeah.
I was expecting the Emmy to be in our Zoom frame right now. I'm disappointed it's not.
Well, I don't record this.
I know, but just for like as a power.
Oh, you wanted me to just
so
like
work
it in every once in a while.
Yeah. I'll go grab my DGA award.
Yeah,
and stick it on the wall.
See, we're both winners.
VEEP season 6, I think that was our
year.
We all took home gold.
We bribed someone.
Yeah. So it was probably I'd say about a 4-year process where there were moments where I was pretty sure the movie was going to happen and then it didn't. And it was actually starting in the fall of 2018. So it was when we were shooting the VEEP episode of Calamigos.
Oh, yeah.
So season 7, you know, what ended up happening was when we shifted the schedule around, you know, a lot of times the first AD, they alternate. So like as a first AD, I'll be shooting one episode, and then while the next episode is shooting, I'll be prepping. VEEP, we wound up in a situation where once we ended up needing to sort of adjust the scripts and do less episodes, suddenly there were hiatuses between each episode. So I'm alternating with Steve. I'm still on the show because like we would get schedules.
I wouldn't see you for like 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, there'd just be this downtime. So you probably didn't notice, but when episode 2 was shooting at Calamigos,
I was a little busy.
Everyone else was busy. I was there, hanging out, scouting it for my own movie, and just wandering the grounds and figuring out how to adjust my script to take place at Calamigos.
Good for you.
Because
smart.
I realized how perfect of a location it was for the movie. So around that time, there was starting to be some increased energy of potential financiers that seemed real. And so, you know, I started talking with Caleb Duffy, who was on, we broke up as a co-producer. And so I was at Calamigos. Yeah, so he was the location manager on VEEP. So I got to know Fred, who is the site rep and runs the property at Calamigos. And so I was going there every day to the point that, like, Morgan Sackett, our producer, a few times was just like, why are you here? And I'm like, oh, I live close, and just in case there's anything for me to look at. But I legitimately just started wandering the grounds all the time. I brought my co-writer out there with me, and we adjusted the script
You
to
wrote
shoot
to
at Calgary's.
Smart.
Yes. So that's a big thing. If you're shooting something on a budget, it's, there's write what you know and have access to. But yeah, it's really, I think it's hugely important. And I think that's been sort of the value of kind of my AD experience to then transfer to directing is I really do sort of know, I fully know how the sausage is made at this point.
Right.
So I'm hyper aware when I'm writing a scene at the rehearsal dinner of a wedding that it should be post dinner coffee and they have the conversation outside on the bridge where you look in through the window.
There you go. You've covered all bases there. Props, set dressing, lighting, location. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had a lot of conversations in prep, like be it with, the line producer, the production designer, the prop master, everyone along the way, where they come with me with these list of questions you would generally have on like a sub-$1 million movie. How are you expecting to do this with such a big cast and at a location like this? And generally speaking, I would just answer every single question on how I could do that. And they're like, okay, we're less scared than we were before.
See,
like they would
good.
come with this list of like bulleted questions of how the hell this was actually possible.
But that's because of your experience. That's because
yes.
Because as an AD, a second AD, you're moving your way up, whatever, you've worked with each department. So like, oh, lighting's going to need this much time between setups probably, or we have a wardrobe change, or makeup's going to need this. Like, that experience for you to bring into your own film is invaluable. Because you're probably writing it to like, oh, I don't want to do a costume change. I don't want to.
Yeah, I feel like it's sometimes I.
Does that hinder you though?
My first date. Yeah, that's what I was sort of going to say. I appreciate my first AD, Maura Kelly. I was like, with Maura, it was important. I wanted a first AD I had not worked with before. Like that was something I knew I wanted. And there'd be situations where like there'd be a single shot of a character walking toward a location, and it's hard for me to turn off the part of my brain where I'm like, oh, well, if we just schedule it at the same time as the merry-go-round, the generator's already going to be over there, so then we won't need to worry about moving the generator.
Yeah.
And so, the response a lot of times would be like, okay, seriously, Rosie, that is not your concern, but you are correct, so thank you. Yes, we will do that.
Yeah. Sometimes too much knowledge doesn't help you.
Yeah, it would get in the way. I think I found I found a healthy balance of the two.
I think that was really smart, though, to hire someone you hadn't worked with before. Mostly because sometimes being too comfortable with someone, you don't want to ask them to do things, or you're less professional in a sense. You're more friends, and yeah.
It was interesting. Like throughout there were certain departments that I felt like, oh, okay, I'm comfortable with a friend. Like Alexis Jax was a costume designer on it. So there were situations like that where I was like, I don't think that would be you. But conversely, like cinematographer was a big one where I was like, I picture this movie, like I picture a single camera shoot, a lot of like long takes. It's going to be in like a 2:3:5 aspect ratio. I want this to feel like an independent film. I don't want this to feel like a television show, which I think is a problem a lot of times. People who have worked in TV too long end up falling into when they direct film. And so for that reason, I didn't talk to any TV cinematographers I knew.
Snob.
Was that?
You snob.
Is that a snobbish thing to say?
No, not at all.
But
Because
it's not like,
but because you work in TV and you work in film, but it's not a snobbish thing to say because there's differences. That's the reality of it. They look different. Some programs look different. Some TV is shot like a movie. But as you're saying, like I just didn't you don't want to fall into that look. I think you're perfectly valid in saying that.
Yeah, and then like, but conversely, like production designer, that was like, I sort of went through and I was like, what departments do I think might not translate well if it's someone who's been working in episodic television too long, specifically the type of episodic TV we work in, because a lot of times it's like 3 or 4 cameras at the same time and you're just sort of like hosing down a set. Production design, for example, that was not a position that I inherently was like, I don't think that would translate well. Like I was like, to me, that will translate completely fine.
Right.
It'll be a different conversation because it's not going to be as much dress the room always. You know, there's a protection with television where you have to have everything for 360 because you truly have no idea.
Yeah.
On a show like VEEP, you have to assume literally everything will get seen.
Yes.
Whereas in my situation,
it's the shot. You've set up the shot. It's not the whole room, like you're saying. Yes.
The opening shot of OJ is a VCR TV combo that's sitting on a table that we put contact paper behind, and it was probably the size of like 4 feet by 8 foot. And, you know, we just had to build that singular frame. That's all we were focused on. So on Calamigos, like, I am able to say, like, we are only going to see this.
Yeah.
This is our shot list. This is the scene. Dress this frame and you are safe.
Yeah.
And for the most part, that never bit us. There were a few times where maybe it was slightly wider than we expected, but pretty rarely. So we were really able to dress everything and design everything very specific.
But that's also a point where a set decorator and an AD really need to communicate with each other too, because you know you're in charge of like extras, and we're gonna have people over there. Like, is that dressed? Like, well, we didn't talk. We're not supposed to see down this hallway. Like, why? So it is constant communication between our departments. Not only scheduling and are you moving? Oh, we're jumping ahead. Oh, we've pulled the shot up. Oh, this and that. But there is like technical stuff of like, hey, we're putting extras over here, or they're going to come around this corner now. Like a lot of times you're the one giving me the heads up. Not any, you know, that's it.
Yeah.
It's you and me.
Yeah, no, it's, yeah. I was thinking about that too, because it's like, I feel like the AD department, I've noticed, because at this point now I've held all AD positions. So it's like, I feel like the first AD is very linked to the production designer and then the art director more so than the set decorator. Whereas like the production designer, you're on early pre-scouts. A lot of time the director's not even on it yet.
Right.
And so I didn't fully realize when I was seconding how much when I started firsting, I was going to be just lockstep with the production designer.
Right.
Like a lot of times I would get the overheads of what the scene was going to be and stuff like that. And as a key second, those didn't matter as much to me. But then suddenly as like the first AD, those became hugely important. Like suddenly I'm actually, looking over all of the diagrams and plans much more.
Right.
Whereas as a second AD, the set decorator is usually the person I'm dealing the most specifically with, because we're the two people who are dealing with the next day's shoot most specifically.
Right.
So it's a situation where, if we're planning to be in a hotel room that's Selena's staying in a hotel room, I already know that like Matt Haynes and his construction team have built it. I know that most of the stuff's there, but I've told everyone as the second AD, we're going to be there at the end of the day. Suddenly actor availability changes or something. It's 4 p.m. and I get told, hey, that now needs to be first up.
Yeah.
So that falls on the second AD to go to my text chain with, set deck, art director, production designer, construction coordinator, and be like, hey guys,
Hey team. Oh, you're so sweet when you do it too. Hey guys, so this is gonna be cool. Hey, that set's first up tomorrow. Cool, right?
Yeah, I feel like there's the approach of like, this is first up. I usually try to be like, hey, is this possible?
Yeah.
Thanks, I love you.
But I learned a long time ago when Morgan and David would come to me and say like, hey, so can that be first up? They're not asking me. They're telling me. And I say that all the time. I go, well, you're not asking me. You're telling me it's first up. Obviously, it has to be done now. Now it's got to be done. Now just tell us. And I go, no, fine. Then no, it can't be first up. All right, well, it's first up. See? I told you, like, you're fucking with me. So, yeah, it's not, there's very rarely is there that absolutely cannot be shot tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? Like, either that train is coming. You're not, maybe I didn't get a couple things in that I wanted in because it has to be this and you sacrifice stuff, but yeah, it is the AD and scheduling. You're putting out the one-liners. You're doing, on a show like VEEP, multiple versions, constantly changing things, and it's so important paying attention to them of like, oh, and I always feel that you were very good, are very good at giving a heads up. Hey, Day 2 change, just a heads up. Like, and that's invaluable. Like, because you can't have your eyes on everything at all the time. And, maybe Patrick catches this or I catch that. And then, that's what your team does. But having someone giving you a heads up is like, oh, thank God. Thank God he told us right away. I was at the store. I could buy it. Yeah. Like, that was perfect.
That was always like, as I've done it more and like as cell phones have become so useful in group change and texts, like before I even go to Excel or start doing anything else, like if I hear word of a change, it's just like immediately text every department that this will affect.
Yeah.
And then I'll go into Excel and I'll figure out the call sheet and do all that. But like, you have to understand again, like buyers are at the store, rental houses close at a certain time, especially like if you have a delayed
wardrobe
call in evenings. Yeah, costumes has to fit these things. And like, the person who I continually, and she always handled it like a champ, and I will love her to death, Gabe Perello. God love her. Gabe so many, like, especially on like Good Place, she would have, like glow in the dark handcuffs and things like that are
ready
just
at 7 a.m. Yeah.
So specific.
And two options. 2-3 options.
Yes.
Like, amazing. She's amazing.
The things she would show up with when I know for a fact, because I was the one who made the oh shit phone call to her, when she would actually be there at 7 a.m. with an amazing prop, I would just be like dumbfounded. Like, I don't know how this happened.
You can't take it away from her. She is amazing and so creative and so able to roll with it. I have little episodes in the car or whatever, or like sometimes I'll clear my desk. Like, I don't want to do this.
But everyone has those episodes. Everyone has those episodes, and everyone either hides those well or has moments where they have a frustration moment, and that's a totally understood reality. I mean, some shows throw curveballs more than you expect. But like conversely, VEEP is a situation where part of its charm and why it works as a show is that it's kind of messy around the edges. It's handheld camera. That's part of its charm, but that infuses itself in every element of production.
Yeah.
Good Place, conversely, is this organized, perfect afterlife.
Yes.
So that infuses itself in how production runs. That said, there are moments on VEEP where you're suddenly like, that week went really smooth. That whole episode went really smoothly. That was totally fine. I did like 10 or 11 hour days. And there's moments on Good Place where you're suddenly like, oh my God, where is the ice sculpture?
Right.
We have 46 animals landing, but, the trailers aren't allowed to go where they're supposed to go normally. Like,
I think because we expected to have 43 sets, in a week on VEEP.
Yeah.
To have 12 on Good Place, you're like, oh, what are you, nuts? Like,
and you adjust. I mean,
and I said that to them when I came on season 2. Season 2 was easy. Let's just, for me, it wasn't bad. It was fine. Season 3, they were on Earth. So we were never in the back. We weren't on any of our stage. We weren't in any of the, we were on location constant. I was like, well, this is bullshit. Yeah, you got me on the show telling me it's like a break kind of from VEEP. We're out every day. Like, this is a lot of work. I don't want to work.
Season 4 of Good Place, we 100% had more food stylist dinner scenes than VEEP had ever had. Every single episode.
Oh, no. It was always a party. It was always food. It was, oh my God, yes. Yes.
And it was so, you go into these shows, you have an expectation of what it is, and it constantly adjusts everything, And so all you can sort of do is the best thing you can have happen, which is I think something both of us have been able to enjoy over the last 5 years is, and I think for you longer, because I missed the Parks and Rec aspect of it, is you find people you like working with and you have good, and then you just sort of try to keep working with them. Yeah. And sometimes we lucked out that we wound up on 2 highly acclaimed shows where we're just totally. We're just, you won an Emmy, I won a DJ award. It's awesome. It's fun, but it's like we could be working on insert awful show. And
we could still be on Hallmark.
I know, we could still be on Hallmark, but if it was the same crew and the same budgets and stuff, I'd still enjoy it. I think that's, I've had
you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. I would. You're a go-getter.
I'm Rosie. I'm Rosie. It'll be fine.
I'll tell you what. Was it season 2? I don't think you were on Good Place.
I was on season 2. I joined.
You were on season 1.
I was on season 1. Yes.
So I wasn't on season 1. Let's not talk about it. But then when we went to VEEP, you were supposed to come on to VEEP, but you were doing something else. You were coming in late or something like that, wasn't it? I think that was it.
Yeah, I came on. I did part of season 5.
Right.
So I did not do all of season 5.
I kept hearing, it's so funny because it was kind of the same with you and Kenny, who is at AD. Hey, you know Rosie's coming on. And I'd be like, who the fuck's Rosie? Why y'all stiff about this Rosie guy? I've been with you for 5 years. Like, are you telling him, hey, you got, is Juan up here? Like, oh, Rosie's coming. Oh, you're going to love him. You're going to love him. Super great guy. Oh my God, so great. Yeah, he's so funny. He's good, great. And I'd be like, are you building me up like that to him? Like, and of course they're like, no, we're not. We don't build you up to anyone. But I wouldn't still be happy on Hallmark. There's no way you'd still be happy on Hallmark. No, I don't care who the fuck you're working with on there.
I think I would still be happy. I think I'd be okay. I don't know. I still can't get over the fact that we get served free breakfast and lunch. I think it's awesome.
I do too.
I'm getting paid.
You're saying because we didn't get that on Hallmark? But we didn't.
No, we did, and it was awesome. Like, the caterer would he would like make these Korean barbecue ribs every few weeks because I liked them, and I was like, this is the best. I'm eating breakfast burritos every morning. I
gotta check out something because I think I was at Hallmark 5-6 years before you. I didn't have catering.
I was there.
There was like a box of donuts. There was no...
I was there 2006 through 2009.
Yeah, I was like 2002 to 5 or 5 to 8. I don't know. I was there earlier than you.
But
let me look myself up.
I'm like,
I don't know. I was there earlier
I,
than you. I don't remember catering. I really don't.
yeah, we had Hollywood caterers. Yeah, we had a caterer. Antonio was our caterer, good guy,
I
and it
can't believe you
was.
remember their names.
I'm
I don't
like,
remember that. I remember.
I made a lot of really good. I made a lot of good friends there. Like I've had a few specific jobs that maybe I've disliked because I didn't get along with like the first AD or situations like that. But they're few and far between. Like I don't know. Like I. I'm kind of good with it. I think it's pretty cool. I don't take for granted the fact that like I don't know. Since I was 8 years old, I wanted to be a filmmaker, and I'm doing that for a living, and it's awesome.
And it's awesome.
And
it's
I
awesome.
have two beautiful, healthy kids.
You could be working at Ralph's.
I'm married. I'm happy. Yeah, I could have got that job at Ralph's. Like,
been like, I'm going to see where this takes me, and I'll make a film when I can. Like,
yeah. Like I work on Good Place in the VEEP. You know, like when we were. When I was on the film festival circuit with OJ, like, you know, there are all these like filmmaker tent areas, and they're always sponsored by like Tito's Vodka. At least they were that year. So like you go to like the Tito's Vodka tent, and like the local brewery has a bunch of little tasty food that you turn into your dinner. Like you just eat bruschetta for dinner.
Yeah.
And I'd be at the table, and for whatever reason, because my movie's a mockumentary, I kept winding up on panels with documentary filmmakers, which are mostly like social justice movies. So like I was on a panel with like the producer of Bowling for Columbine, the director of like God Loves Uganda, Nelson Mandela's grandson. Like I'm doing I'm like, hi, I made an O.J. Simpson musical mockumentary. Hello. But we would talk about like what we're going to do when we get home. So talking to these people who are like on Oscar short lists for documentaries. Right. And they're like, well, I'm probably going to drive Uber while I'm working on my grant. Or like I might do some temp work at offices. Like this is what they're doing to like survive. And I'm like, I'm going to go key second this movie for Paramount. Like, so... I mean, I sort of felt...
But that, you worked for that. You can't feel bad for that. You worked for that position. You got hired. No, people call you. You can't feel bad.
Yeah. No, and this isn't me saying I feel bad. It's more saying that I would feel bad if I was complaining about it. Like, I've always truly felt like, man, I'll throw a hashtag blessed. I'll just say it because I've just felt pretty lucky. I feel like this whole course I've been on, like I just got a chance to direct this movie with an amazing cast that I'm super proud of. And I'll keep ADing as long as I need to, as I keep trying to direct stuff of my own. And when I'm directing stuff of my own, hopefully sooner than later, and being able to like do that as my job, I'll be super happy about doing that. And
yeah, but good things come to good people. You're a good person.
I like to think so.
Yeah, you're a good person.
So, yeah.
Sometimes I wish you'd like open up a little and like tell me stories because you're in the band. Like, come on. But you don't. You're like a good person.
I mean, I just tried. Like, I really do. Honestly, like I don't know. I enjoy doing what I do. I think it's it's a lot of fun to come to work every day and just problem solve how to make these TVs.
I could never be an AD. I could never do it.
So I was a theater major. I was a playwriting major, and I didn't major in film or anything. I had made like student films and stuff, but I knew even then, I was like, if I was going to just like be a film crew member, like I think sounds like a position I could probably do. And it just sort of made sense. Like it feels almost like Neo in the Matrix to me. Like it feels like sort of like
it cut out for 1 second. What position?
Like assistant director always sort of made sense to me. And then like when I'm on set, sometimes it does sort of feel kind of like the Matrix, where Neo's like able to see the mechanism,
right?
And I can just like see like
we all have those
when
moments. It's all coming together. Couch,
when I was
sofa,
when I
rug.
was when I was a second, I could just see where the background needed to cross to fill the frame. And like when I walk to a set, like a lot of times as the second AD, I'll walk the set ahead of time. Like in the same way that, you know, you'll open a set, I'll go there a lot of times, either the night before or just sort of to make sure. And I'll walk there and I'll see where like Reed or Rigging Grip had staged something. And I'll be like, I think that might be in the way.
Yeah.
And so I'll check in with Reed and say like, hey, I think where that's set up might be the wrong spot. I'll confirm with the first AD or whoever. And then I'll relay to everybody. If that affects you, I'll send you and Patrick a text just to be like,
hey, we need some drapery.
Yeah. So a lot of times it just always sort of made sense to me.
Do you have something else in the future for like writing? Do you have ideas for that? Do you think you like directing, obviously. Do you think you'll continue to try to, you know, make that number one position?
Yeah, I think the number one priority, I have what I would like to be my next movie ready.
Cool. That's awesome.
So yeah, it's already written. I think I can openly talk about it. So UTA is our sales agents on our movie. So the movie I couldn't be proud of. We're super excited about it, the financiers and everybody. It's completely done. So we were able to, we finished shooting on February 25th. I got the director's cut the first week in April from the editor. We had about 2 weeks together before the stay-at-home order came in. So thankfully, her name's Stephanie. So Stephanie's husband, thankfully, is a software engineer. So he was able to set up like a Zoom account and we would talk on Skype. So we edited the whole movie remotely.
Wow.
We did like scoring, ADR, color, everything was pretty much remote. I was able to go in by myself and do ADR and review color and sound mix. But so as of a couple weeks ago, the movie's done. We're trying to sort of figure out what we'll do with it because we don't really know what festivals will be. But now now I have agents myself from all of this. So
that's
now
awesome,
I'm like, it's pretty wild. I'm getting sent like scripts to look at to potentially direct. They're looking at stuff I've written to potentially try to get financing for that.
That's fantastic.
So hopefully the day, like sitting in an AD trailer writing like business proposals and stuff, hopefully those days are done. Instead of
going to craft service in the or going to catering in the morning, someone brings it to you.
Yeah, I mean, that sort of happens as a second AD. I have a running thing where like our base camp AD or PA, I always use Siri to send them the most insane, bizarre message I can because Siri does not understand a word I say. So I usually start with a food order and then end up like singing like a Disney show tune or something. And then I just show up and there's breakfast of some sort.
There you go.
But yeah, it's the hope is certainly to start directing. I think transitioning to episodic television is becoming more common for first ADs anyway these days.
Yeah.
So to a degree than it used to be, just because there's so many more shows.
Yeah.
Conversely, you know, a lot of independent filmmakers, they want to transition to television, but, you know, if you watch an independent film, you're like, okay, does that person actually understand what an episodic TV director does? Because it's extremely different than what a film director does.
Yeah.
Conversely, I think for a lot of ADs that have aspirations of directing themselves, it would be a question of, do you actually know how to direct and talk to actors? So I think I'm a bit of a unicorn in that I check both boxes.
Yeah, definitely.
And so that'll hopefully in the next few years, I'll be able to transition to that. But in the meantime, I'm still just, I mean, I'm currently ADing on a show right now. I still enjoy that part of it. So I still feel like on every job I'm on, at the very least, I'm meeting new people and getting a chance to expand my network.
Always great.
And so, like, yeah, like if I go through the call sheet from my movie, there's somebody on that call sheet from just about every show or era of my professional life.
That's good, but that also means people want to work with you.
Yes, which I do appreciate as well. Which that's been a nice thing about it. And I find myself often being apologetic because it's like, my movie was not as big of a budget as some of the shows I know these people from, but then, they show up on our set, like, and they're just like, honestly, we have catering and there's like a base camp. Like, what the hell is going on?
It's a real production. It's a real thing.
We expected a carafe of coffee and a basket of bananas.
Listen, I was on a IFC thing once with Tobey Maguire, Will Ferrell, and everything, and the crafty was like a Tupperware of M&Ms, a couple bottles of water and peanut butter and jelly. And Patrick and I looked at each other like, "Whoa, I gotta get out of here." Before you have to run off because you're working. Have you seen anything lately? Are you watching anything that's inspiring you?
Man, I was watching a lot of Bubble Guppies, which is a frustrating show. The physics just drive me crazy. Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, I've been watching. Wild Kratts. There's a lot of Wild Kratts. I've honestly, it's interesting. My wife is a reptile zookeeper. I haven't mentioned that yet, but she's not a film and television person. She's seen like everything now. Because so she watched Westworld without me. She watched Glow without me. She's watching Brave New World currently. Nice. I've seen like nothing. I love What We Do in the Shadows. I actually do watch that show.
I haven't caught that yet, and now I'm gonna have to.
It's fantastic.
Yeah,
it's super fun. It's a quick, easy watch.
Oh, good.
But it's tough. I'm not. And currently, I'm watching more. Trying to think of what else I've watched that I've enjoyed.
I watched a ton of documentaries lately about filmmaking, which was great. I think it's called like Making Waves about sound. That was fantastic.
I do a lot of audiobooks about filmmaking. That's
you had some really good. Did you read the Chinatown book, The Long Goodbye or whatever?
Oh, I did not.
Oh, it's so good.
I should. I mean, I did Raging Bull, Easy Rider, Raging Bulls, which is sort of that era.
Oh yeah, that's on my.
I did Robert Evans's book. I did Billy Friedkin's book. I love that.
Yeah, the Robert Evans
stuff around there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah. I also signed up for like the master classes. I'm halfway through Scorsese's, which is good. He's good. He's realistic.
I have a running thing because that Ron Howard sponsored ad about confrontational angles. Do you get that one?
I didn't watch it yet. I didn't watch him yet.
Oh man, there's a sponsored ad on Instagram. We're on the set of We Broke Up, and our DP is like, I think that would actually be a really good confrontational angle. And I made him stop, and I was like,
Did you watch?
Did you get that from the Ron Howard masterclass? And he goes, Oh my God, I did. And I was like, and then we started realizing that like the rest of the crew had all gotten this same sponsored ad from Ron Howard about confrontational angles. Now that I keep saying confrontational angles, I'm just making it so you'll get it now in your Instagram since your phone is hearing you probably.
It's true. Alexa's
Every time I get the sponsored ad, like in my Instagram like DMs, it's like 6 members of the crew because I immediately send it to them. And Instagram's pretty good at like share to a person.
Yeah.
So I hit share and it's always the first 6 people. It's the same people. It's my script supervisor, my co-writer, the DP, the editor. I just blast them with the Ron Howard masterclass ad.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do his eventually. I laughed a lot on this one. Isn't he so positive? I mean, it's kind of annoying, but it's so genuine. He's such a nice guy. I should say we recorded this in late July. It's now October. and I was starved for any sort of work talk and talking about schedules, and just it was so great to like catch up with him in that respect too. I hope this was interesting to anyone who's going through the process of making their own films and trying to get it going, and just hearing that, you know, it doesn't happen overnight and it's a lot of work. And I'm so glad that he was able to discuss his position as an AD also, because his interaction with other departments and keeping everyone on the same page, it's so essential. Like I said, I would never want that job. The scheduling of actors and locations, it's insane. And the multiple versions of schedules you have to do, I mean, my head would explode. But he's a great guy. I can't wait to see. We broke up. And I think I just checked. It didn't have a release date yet, but I'll keep you posted on that. And I don't care what he says. I don't believe him, but he'd still be happy on a Hallmark show. There's no way. He loved working on VEEP too much to say that. Next week's episode, I have production designer and creator of Art Departmental, Rose Legace, and she's extraordinary. I don't know how she has time to design and keep up this website that has just become a staple in our industry. I mean, I've been looking at it for years. So I hope you enjoy that one. She's super nice. And we hear a little bit about Canada and how they're working and COVID and all that. So that's next week. And then in November, I have a little get to know your art department tutorial that I'll be putting out. Really just trying to let anyone know, if you're interested in a specific position, where you actually fall in line in an art department, and if that position exists. I mean, there's so many things to do in an art department. You could draw the sets, you could be a model maker, you could illustrate, you could decorate. So I'm hoping that episode helps anyone who's thinking about art department work, and any questions that might come up. Hopefully that episode will inform you. Thank you so much to everyone listening, and keep listening and downloading and reviewing. You have been an amazing audience. Thank you so much. If you haven't reviewed this podcast, clickety click 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 just that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars. And then if you have a little time, you write a little review. You just say how much you like it. You could tell me how much you don't like it. With that, you could probably put that in a personal email to me. You don't have to tell everybody that. You could just tell me. That's fine. I am, hey, Kim Wannup at decoratingpagespodcast.com. Go ahead. Tell me about it. And anyone who has questions, obviously, I'm always available. DM me on social media. Anything I can help out with, let me know. I hope you got an earful. I'm Kim Wannup with Decorating Pages. Get floating into fall on your Stogie Floaty, luxury pool float. Available now on Amazon, Etsy, and stogiefloaty.com.
Welcome to Pro Tips for the Pros, brought to you by Floor & Decor Bailey's Crossroads. In this series, we'll explore essential advice for professional contractors to deliver outstanding renovation results. Let's dive in. After completing the renovation, follow up with the customer to ensure their satisfaction and address any remaining concerns. Provide maintenance tips and guidance to help them preserve the results of the renovation for years to come. Thank you for joining us for this pro tip on planning thorough renovations. Stay tuned for more expert advice brought to you by Floor & Decor Bailey's Crossroads.
A lot of people tolerate ordinary. Ordinary bathrooms, kitchens, entryways. Well, not on your watch. If you're a pro, you've got a new partner in town. Floor & Decor. From tile to wood to stone, Floor & Decor has more styles and job lot quantities of Schluter, Mapei, Laticrete, and other brands pros trust. Come see a whole new way to wow with Floor & Decor. Coming soon to Bailey's Crossroads.